You are now listening to the I Think I Love My Wife podcast. And this is your best friend's best friend, Chidozie Okafor, ready to take you on another journey. Are you with me? Because I'm ready. Let's get it. In this episode, we talk about the male ego and the moments where we have to check it. We discuss how some men deal with breakup and the steps they take to move forward. We explain how the feeling of knowing you have the right person can trump our rigid rules or data points required. We highlight how some people typically check for things on the margin when there's not an instant or automatic connection. And we uncover the challenge of balancing the time it takes to cultivate a strong relationship with the expected pace for exclusivity. So I'm back with DJ, and we had a really good conversation. And we left off, he was talking about the male ego. And I know that women sometimes think that part of their job is to make sure they got to stroke that man's ego, you know, because we have probably, despite how the bravado of the ego, it's probably more fragile than people think. And so you were mentioning something to the degree of that experiencing that failure with something you really care about, really is a blow to a man's ego. Yeah. Can you talk about just ways that, like, I guess, as you think about your whether it's dating history or your relationship and your marriage, that your ego has come into play in it, as well as like where you've had to like check it?
Yeah, plenty of times. Specifically, one in 2015, I went through a rough patch in my career. I was blackballed out of an industry and couldn't find work for almost 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So that was a tough blow, not being able to provide like I was used to. And I had already proposed. Yeah. She had already moved here, and it's like, damn, what do I do now? I try to call myself Mr. Make It Happen. I've always guided myself by that principle. Find a way, figure it out. That's what, really helped me, as well as some friends that came through in the clutch and really helped, and really saved my life in that regard. Other things such as, like I said, my wife grew up in a single parent household. So there's a level of independence that she already had just naturally. So when it comes to doing things around the house, as a man, we want to say, well, let me do it. I'll figure it out. I got it.
Yeah, that's our favorite line. I got it.
I got it.
I'm fine and I got it.
I'm fine. I got it. Let me do it. No, I got it. Yeah. And so you see them doing things that you said I got it on, and it's like, hey, didn't I say I got it? I said, yeah, I'll do it 2 hours ago. I said I'll do it 2 hours ago. That's fine, but I'll get to it in my time. So with ladies, there's times we know you can do it, and you know that you can do it, but stroking a man's ego in that way is very crucial to the relationship, to the dynamics of the relationship. That, babe, can you go ahead and hang this picture up for me, or can you run this errand or take out the trash here and there? Let us handle those things, because we value doing them for you, with you. And when we don't, or when we see you doing them, it kind of rubs us. It can rub us in a certain way.
Yeah, I get that, and it makes me think. I think there's two ways you can look at that. Because I can see some women be like, I wish a man would do it. I've been trying to get them to do it, and they won't. Yeah. And so I can see, and we can talk about both scenarios. I can see a scenario where there are situations where a guy wants to be able to provide in whatever that looks like, whether it's putting up a picture frame, being handy around the house, taking out the trash. And because, let's say, the woman is too independent, he's not allowed to do those things, and he may feel some kind of way.
Yeah.
And in situations like you said, he said, I got it. She does it anyway. He's like, damn, I think the emotions are, does she not trust me?
Yeah.
Does she not think I'm capable?
Yep.
And so on and so forth. And I think that could hurt a man's ego.
No, it makes you say, it makes you say, why am I here?
Yeah.
What am I doing?
Yeah. And I've had to learn that from I'm very self-sufficient.
Yeah.
I don't like disappointment.
Yep.
And so I don't like asking for help, because I know a lot of people ain't shit.
I'm the same way.
And so I don't ask for help a lot. And I'm a very much, I got it.
Yeah.
And I've recognized that if someone doesn't feel like they're getting opportunities to enhance your life, then you're not being vulnerable I can be vulnerable from sharing and communicating, but like that's another level of vulnerability to allow someone to do for you. And so I think on the flip side of what you talked about, like a woman allowing a man to do things that they probably can do themselves, right? And this might be, you could call it a stroke of his ego, to let him do those things that you could easily do for yourself. I do think there's a flip side of it where, like, in the same respect, I'm like, I got it. And the woman just does it. She sees, like, yeah, he could do it, but he got a lot of things going on. Yeah. And I think guys take mental notes of when they just do. They don't really ask you, just take care of stuff.
Right.
I think typically we tend to think about, oh, she knew I was hungry. She made me a sandwich or made food because she was thinking about it. I think it goes way beyond that. But I think there's also like a thing that men appreciate about women that, like, I don't have to ask her. She just kind of like reads the room. She reads, recognize what's going on, and can take charge in that way.
Right.
That like, I said I got it. Yeah. And if she asked me, I would have still said I got it. Right. She did it anyway, and in my head, I'm like, man, I really appreciate it. And I have to learn to say thank you for that.
Bro, and the beautiful part in a marriage is when you communicate those wants, and then you see them consciously being worked on. It's beautiful.
It's not gonna be overnight for some people.
It can't be overnight, because in a marriage, even in a relationship, you're not changing anybody's core. They are who they are. Like Jay-Z said, you was who you was before you got here. Yep. Right? What you can change is personality. You can change how people react to certain situations, but that core of who they are is who they are. But it's a beautiful thing to see your significant other consciously make an effort to do something that you asked.
How important is that?
Man, that is huge. That is vital, because the things you ask shouldn't come out of a place of selfishness, shouldn't come out of a place of control, but it's a thing that I honestly, in my core, don't like when you do this. Or I love it when you do this. What are we going to do? Can you meet me? Can you help me out here? So when both people are willing to do those things, man, it creates for a very amazing experience together. And like I said, for my wife and I, we're just getting to that place where it starts to feeling like it's automatic. Yeah. And I can tell when she's clicking, when she's thinking about those things that I said to do and not do. And I hope
there's some grace that has to happen,
Oh man, there's some huge fights over little shit. Yeah, that have to happen.
But I mean, there's also grace that you have to give people because
there's not a clean wipe on anything. Yeah. You know what I mean, you gotta be patient with those things, but also,
like, is that would you consider that a non-negotiable?
What?
Like that trait to be able to have the ability to adjust in a way that when someone doesn't like something, to be able to try to, pull back from that, or to get to the point where you recognizing reading the room and filling in areas that you don't have to be asked to fill in.
For me, it is. Yeah. Only because that could lead to a whole lot of frustration down the road. If you just see the person is blatantly not trying. And one of the things that really kind of grinds my gears I see on social media from a lot of women is like, I am who I am. If you don't like me, this is who I am. You can move around. Like, how selfish are you to where you can't even acknowledge
lies until she falls in love?
Agreed. And how selfish are you where you can't even see that you may need to tweak and improve some things about yourself? So what you're saying is, this is who I am forever. I'm not growing, not with anybody for any reason.
And I doubt you would be happy with a guy that said the same thing to you.
She wouldn't even let the guy approach her if he said the same thing. Yeah.
And so when you think about, we talked about how important that is. Mm-hmm. That for you is pretty much a non-negotiable. Did you see it over the course of your time? Like, I'm asking, I guess you know, but I'll make it a more broader question. Did you see it over the course of your time when y'all were dating before you proposed? Or what did you see in your wife that gave you confidence that, like, we can get to where you are now? Because you're like, now we're in that groove where we're starting to see it play out. Right. I'm sure it didn't play out in the beginning, but were there any indicators that, like, oh, I don't have doubt that we could get there?
Well, I think the things that you have to make those decisions over early in relationships are smaller, right? Less complex. Like when you're in a marriage, you see some big ticket items. They require some big boy and big girl action, right? But we've seen the ability from both of us to handle those situations. It's just a matter of, can I do it? And especially, can I do it when I'm wrong? Yeah. Can I be accountable for how I'm reacting and acting to certain situations? For sure.
So you talked about, you were in a tough spot, your career. This is like right after you proposed, right? How, and you think your wife had moved by that time.
Imagine,
I can imagine
that pressure.
how she's feeling. I've uprooted.
Yeah.
And now into a place that there's less stability.
Yeah.
So how, and I'm sure at the time you probably weren't thinking about this because like you're trying to fix it, your situation.
Yeah.
Looking back, how much of her response to you and showing up for you show you in her, especially given like what she was probably in her own head dealing with too. Like I came to this country, there's less stability.
Yep.
Like I'm sure that's fearful for her, and she has her own set of emotions there. But like in the midst of that, how did she show up for you? I'm assuming she showed up for you in ways to support you, in ways that like told you something about her that you probably didn't know before.
I think a lot of it was just encouragement. Going through those rough patches that early. Going through that early kind of was a blessing because we can look back and say, damn, if we went through that, what can we not do?
Yeah.
Things will surely be tough going down the line, but that hit us early. And most people won't see shit like that until 5, 7, 10 years in. When you're almost, priced in to stay. Yeah. What happens when you just got here and you go through that? Yeah. Right? And obviously it wasn't intentional, but there were things that I saw in her for sure that gave some.
Like what? Like some she encouraged you? Like, what did she do?
It was around like. And
the reason I'm asking as you think about it because there's encouragement, there's like checking in, but there's we could say those things and there's ways that is like someone receives that like, oh, okay, I see you looking out. Yeah. And there's ways that someone can receive that as, why are you? I'm obviously working on this. Yeah. Do you not feel like I am? It's like almost like a chastising. Yeah. And so that's why I'm trying to push. Like, what did she do?
When any chastising, it was things like, okay, hey, well, look, here's a program you may qualify for. Here's some options. Here's some ways to be efficient, like with how we consume food. Is there anything else I can do? Like she started doing hair on the side, so I always like someone who's like, let's make it happen because that's how I feel that I am. So that was definitely reciprocated for sure.
And so you guys were in a stage where it was, you guys kind of like, halfway committed, Yeah. But let's say that happened in that first year. Do you think it would have played out the same way?
Like if it wasn't immediately?
No, like let's say, you met you in Vegas, you probably on trip number 3 or 4, Toronto. And then you're in this situation with your job, your career. Yeah. In terms of how she might have reacted to the situation or the data points you might have gotten from her, do you think it would play out the exact same way, or do you think?
Well, I think it would have. I think it would have played out differently from my perspective.
In what way?
I would have hesitated and prolonged when I decided to propose based on my,
trying to get out of it.
Yeah. And I would have let her know, hey, this is what I'm dealing with. I can't come this often because of this. Here's what I got to deal with. And for a man, that's huge to talk about, like your money issues with a female, especially if you're just meeting them. Because you feel like, oh, she don't need to know all that, playboy. Yeah. Like, fake it till you make it. You good? Yeah. But valuing someone's opinion that you're serious with is crucial. So.
No, I get. I was out of a relationship. And, guys, like we just, despite how we feeling emotionally, we probably don't take the time to process the way we need to. Yeah. And it was a serious relationship. So I was back in the dating scene. You know? People that I knew was eyeing me while I was in a relationship. Hey, what's up? What's up? But I went through a stint where I quit my job. I felt like good enough, or I had enough saved to like be intentional about the next job I took. Right. But it took longer than I thought. Yeah. And so I was dating this young lady, and I was trying to be intentional about how I felt with my actions. And so there was a time she wanted me to pick her up from like the airport, and I was like, I don't want to do that because I know what that might mean to you. Yeah. And so I didn't want to make myself available for that.
Gotcha.
It's not that picking her up from the airport was hard. I knew what that might have meant.
Correct.
And then there was a situation where we realized in the course of a conversation we were going to the same places one evening. So she was like, you come scoop me, we can go together to these places. I didn't want to do that because I knew what that might look like and what that might mean.
And
to
you
her.
weren't available for that.
And I didn't want those. You didn't want
those assumptions around that.
Yeah, I didn't want the assumptions.
I got you.
And so, yeah, it would have been easier just to do it and you deal with that bridge later. But I was like, I don't want to deal with that later.
That's emotional intelligence.
Thank you.
100%.
And so, thank you.
Yeah.
Single fine ladies listening.
Yeah, y'all hear that? Points for Chidozie. Emotional
but
intelligence.
I didn't want to deal with cross the bridge later. So I was like, I don't want to.
So, okay, now my turn. How did she respond to that?
So she responded I think we ended up stop talking.
No shit.
Yeah, but part of that was her feeling like I wasn't there for her in ways that made her feel safe and yada yada. Which
Exactly.
I get. To me, we weren't there yet.
Yeah.
To me, we weren't there at all in that sense. But in my head, I was like, how can you say that? Because she knew I was not working, and she knew like I was trying to figure those things out, and I was still showing up on these dates.
Right.
And I'm like, yo, do you think I'll be playing?
Right.
when I'm not bringing in money,
Yeah.
and it's not like we like, oh, let's order a pizza and kick it. I'm still trying to show you the same level of experience. And in my head, I'm like, how can you say that I'm not in it?
And you know my situation.
And you know my situation at the time, and I'm still showing up. So I go on, and so like, so it's interesting how you talk about how the money thing, men look at that versus some of these other actions, and that's why I said I have this perspective where I know I'm going to take losses because I rather not. Had picked her up from the airport, so now when she travels again, who's she gonna call?
You like default.
Yeah. Okay, we go on these events now. One, she's gonna think we probably are at a level of seriousness that we are not yet, at least in my head. And other people will think that because we're walking in together. I can't be like I'm ready to go.
And if you do something different, you ain't shit.
Yeah. Once you deviate from that, or once I'm ready to go and she's not, I gotta be. We're men and we want to make sure they're having a good time. So I might be ready. She's not. I'm gonna wait. Mm-hmm. And I was just getting out of a relationship, so I was in this mode of I don't want to concede anymore. Right. Because in the relationship, it's all about concessions. You're making concessions.
Absolutely.
And so when you've been making concessions so much, I'm not saying that in a bad way. It's what you have to do to be successful.
You got tired.
Yeah. You may not even know what you want anymore. Just you.
Yeah. Or
you're tired, and I was in the process of filling my tank, and that tank is being filled off of what I want to do. Independent of what someone wants. Absolutely. And I was super selfish. I could probably communicated that more clearly, but I was super selfish about like, I'm not going to factor in what you want in my decisions.
Right.
And I think it's important to like, if you're not there yet, to think about how your actions.
Bro, and that's why taking those breaks.
But the issue is that you got to play the game.
Yeah, but taking those breaks in between relationships is like, it should be a requirement.
It should be.
Yeah.
It should be.
Yeah.
But I think guys' process is different. I think women typically will take the break.
Yeah.
Where guys like, I got to get back on the horse.
Got to get back on.
And to me, it was like.
Quickly.
Yeah. for several reasons. But to me, it was like, I hadn't been out dating, single in 2 years. And times change.
Yeah.
And I was just like,
the game changes.
Game changes too, and so it's like I just gotta get back. You trying to, guys trying to build that roster, And so I was like, I just gotta figure out how to ride the bike again.
Right.
No, I'm a fall.
Right.
But in my head, it's like, hopefully, I think my mindset was like, hopefully by the time I'm ready, I know how to ride again.
Yeah.
Versus I'm ready, and then now this bike is shaky, Yeah. And that's also like a thing that guys think, like that guys I think navigate through, because I wanted to be ready when I'm ready. And you're only ready by practicing. Right. And so there is a balance between like taking time for you. And I think something you said earlier was you kind of have to know who you are. Yeah. And I don't think knowing who you are means that you are rigid in who you are. Right. I just think just knowing kind of what you value, and not only what you value, but why you value those things. Yes. I think it's also around understanding how you want to show up for people, and also how people impact you. Right. And so I'm a person that like once you're in the circle, and Brandon says before, he's like, a guy like you and he's like us, we like to be in control. And he didn't mean it from like you're a controlling person, like you better do what I say. But we come in with plans. Yeah. We come and say, hey, I want to do this. Yeah. I'm gonna figure out how to make this work. Right. And when you, what's up, big man?
Poopy time.
It's a race car. We daddy daycare out here. Yeah. So I was saying, like, once you have that person in your circle, you can't control how that woman feels. You can't control what she does and how she feels, and what happening to her impacts you. Right. And so we try to, it impacts our ability to control, like, what we want to do, how our day is going to be and stuff. And so we are not rushing to be in situations where we don't have that control.
Right.
And that's why, you might find men like taking their time with it, because it's not just about the other women.
Yeah.
It's about these other variables. And am I willing and ready to show up the way that I want to or know that I need to?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also part of that showing up for a guy is like, what if I invest all this time, especially coming off a relationship? What if I reinvest, double down, and it still doesn't work? Like, damn, that's a huge fear. Like, I'm going into this again knowing that it may not work again. So how do I navigate that as well?
Well, that's how I am. And I think I was talking to another guy. He's like, you think too much. Yeah. And I don't know how else to. When I work in strategy, I'm always thinking ahead.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm good at it because that's what I do naturally.
Right.
But two, I know how I've been. And once I find someone that I think I care enough about and I want to invest in, I'm not coming in this to lose.
Right.
And so I'm trying to exhaust all options to see if we can succeed. And so I look at it as like the next person I'm with, for real, that's probably going to be a 1 or 2 year stint if we don't go forever.
Right.
And am I sure enough to make a?
Yeah.
It's not like am I sure enough to you to be my girlfriend. It's like, am I sure enough that I can do 1 to 2 years without you, of my life.
Right.
And it don't work out.
Yeah.
Do I have that much confidence in it? And I'm trying to get more data points and see.
Yeah. And do I have that much time?
Yeah. Can I give you? Are you really worth 2 years of a chance?
Yeah.
And I don't know that women think about that standpoint. I mean, I know they think about time.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking about like, are you like? Can I do? Is 2 years of you not working? Like, is that? Because I'm not into like, oh, we dated 6 months, boom. I didn't like it. I was uncomfortable. Things happened that I didn't like, cancel. Like, I'm trying to marry this person that I'm with. And that's probably good. And it takes time. It takes grace to figure these things out. You're learning about this person, and it's not a thing that can happen in what you call a popcorn.
And
it takes time, And so I struggle with that and trying to figure out like, he said you got to leap. Sometimes you just got to leap, and I'm just like, I don't know what are those moments. Well, I don't want to, but one of those moments to leap. It's not a book that says, "Hey, at this point in time, this is when you should a launching off point."
Absolutely.
And I'm learning that these conversations are helping that, but I think some of that comes from when more guys than often. Congratulations, my guy.
Good job, man.
He got like a Soul Train board up here spelling words. But most of the guys like when you know, and I think when you know and you're confident. It's easier.
Yeah, and a lot of those rigid rules you had and data points and stats and this and that, a lot of that shit just goes out the window.
Yeah.
It's a feeling thing, man. Like even playing poker, a lot of it has some math and stats. But a lot of times, like, I got a gut feeling this is going to work.
Yeah.
And when it does, you're like, I didn't give a shit about none of the math. I just did it. I just reacted.
Yeah.
And many times that can be beneficial.
It felt right.
It felt right.
And most times than not, people are going to do what feels right.
Like walking into a house you want to buy.
Yeah.
Was it the way they cut the rounded corners of the crown molding? No, this motherfucker's dope. I like it.
Give you an example. And I think this is, I'm a big proxy guy. Like, I'm a logical person in the sense that if I can apply this logic to this and there's a similar situation, I don't know why you would change it. And so like people like Josie, why don't you fly it up? I know myself. If I give myself one reason to get on a plane, and it goes well, I can't on the next reason be like, well, this is a different situation. Nah, it's still a flight. So I don't want to open that first floodgate because I know like that logic stands put. And so when I moved to Austin, I looked at I knew what I wanted. I knew I wanted a nice place. I had a standard where I wanted to live. I knew I didn't want the open apartment. Like I wanted to feel like I was going into a building, right? I wanted a garage built structure. I had certain things that I knew I wanted, right?
Yeah.
I looked at like 20 places that like working with a realtor to find. It's all. Some of them had stuff.
Yeah.
Some of them was like, this ain't gonna work. Like, from jump, I'm seeing this ain't gonna work, but it's still on the list.
Right.
There's gonna be some thought buckets that you might entertain or whatever. There are some that like it could work, and I'm sure if I choose it, you say we're adaptable. I'm gonna make it work, and I won't be like this place sucks.
Right.
And I randomly saw a place on my route, and I was like, let me check this place out. And I knew also how much stuff I had from my other apartment. I was coming from a 2-bedroom apartment.
Okay.
And with the prices and how much I wanted to spend, Austin is more expensive. I wasn't going to be able to afford as nice of a place I wanted, 2 bedrooms.
Gotcha.
So I'm thinking about my stuff. I have my couch, I have my TV, I have my Peloton, I have all these things. Like, how's it gonna fit in these places? So I'm looking every time I go. It's like, oh, I can see, but I might have to put this in storage. I might have to do this.
Yeah.
I get to this unit. It wasn't that it was that much bigger than the other ones. It was the way they optimized space. But when I got into that place, I could see how my stuff fit.
And you like, this is it.
And it was about the numbers then. After that, like, I knew once I walked in, I looked at everything, how my stuff could fit. It met my criteria for like looking like as nice as I wanted it to look.
Yeah.
And I was like, let's run the numbers, because if the numbers work, this is gonna be the spot.
Yeah.
And I think that's how we see people. I think we kind of know what we like, what works for us, even from a situational standpoint. Like, this person's job versus my job. Maybe they're like up their hours, have them traveling all the time, or they have to go to bed super early, like at 6, because they start work at 3.
Yeah.
We think about all these things, how it works for us.
Yep.
And certain things are going to be like an instant fit. We can just see it. And when we see those fits, it's like easier for us to make concessions in other places because it feels right.
I agree.
When it's not a fit, but it can work, then we're trying to we're like on the margins for a lot of things. Like, I need this and this and this and this to work for it to make sense.
Right. That's fair.
And I think that's how we are with dating. Like, more often than not, we're going to find people that are in the middle. They got a lot of things. They got a good handful of things that we want.
Yeah.
And then because of that, we're so critical of these other things on the margins, because like, I need these things to work for it to make sense.
And not only do I need them like right now.
Yeah. To make sense for me to feel good
about
now.
The other stuff, yeah.
To make that jump.
Yeah.
Whereas like, you felt good, and it's like, I might need one thing to check out, and then I'm going to make the jump.
Yeah, and sometimes you got to grow into those things. Yeah.
And that's the thing. Because more often, I don't believe that like, if I swipe today, I met my person.
But wouldn't you be fearful that you met someone with everything you wanted?
You might be a little bit more skeptical, like it's too good to be true.
Right. And what does that lead you to?
Well, that was a question I was going to ask you. I think like seasons are important.
Yeah.
I think like seeing people in their seasons are important because you find out how they react to things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, whether it's a good season, we want to see people I like to see people when they're upset.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I'm going out here to piss people off, but sometimes I might not react the way just to see how you do it.
Yeah.
I like to see people when things are great. I like to see people with their family dynamic. I really think it's sexy when you see someone doing something they're passionate about.
Yeah.
And so it's important to see people in all these different spectrums of their life, to see how they operate, because it gives you an idea of who they are and what they're about.
That's fair.
But that takes time, because you can't manufacture all those situations.
And so can they.
Huh?
And they can manufacture it as well.
No, I said you can't.
Oh.
You can't manufacture all the different seasons. Like, you can manufacture the job situation that happened.
Yeah.
And you saw it, right?
Yeah.
Some can. Like, you travel with someone, you'll see a little bit things, because things happen you can't control when you travel.
Yeah.
But you can't manufacture all the
Traveling
seasons.
is huge to see somebody.
Yeah. And so knowing that and thinking about like, okay, hey, we talked about it's important to see people in their seasons. It's important to like grow with people. How do you balance, or what would you say for people understanding that that's important, but like knowing there's a pace?
Yeah, I think you have to treat it just like a real season. Like, it takes time for it to, I guess you're in Houston, to come out of a warm season and go into cold, and what nature does around that. Leaves don't just turn brown and fall off. There's a
progression.
There's a progression to it. And many times when you rush that natural progression, unnatural results can happen.
I like that. You rush that natural progression, unnatural results can happen.
Absolutely. And you question those like, well, I waited 3 days. You didn't change? Like, the weather didn't change in 3 days. But I'm supposed to? Is that fair? No. Is it realistic? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
So we got to be deliberate in our communications, realistic with our expectations, and understand that those changes take a while. I usually tell people, some women, I've told my wife this, like, hey, the only time you can change a man is when he's in his diapers.
Yeah.
You can tweak some things, but changing things, good luck. And be wary if he's so willing to change.
Yeah. Why?
Why?
And one of the guys said, I thought in one of the episodes we're talking, he's like, yeah, get over yourself. I think men and women have to.
Yeah.
I think men have to get over themselves in terms of their ego.
Yeah.
And things that they not value, but things that they think are important, and like how big of a deal it actually is.
Yeah.
I think women have to get over themselves in the sense of, you have to realize, generally speaking, it's going to sound bad, you're not that special. In the beginning, at least.
Yeah.
And so if a guy is doing all these things,
you're special.
you shouldn't think it's because you're special, even though like you might be special, right?
Yeah.
But if you like think about it, like I haven't shown him all these things, he hasn't seen all these layers of me, the ins and outs that really make me special. Mm-hmm. I shouldn't deduce that he's doing these things because he knows I'm special,
right?
Because he doesn't. So why is he doing those things?
Yeah,
and not questioning like, hey man, why you? But seek understanding over time to figure it out. Yeah. It's like me, man. I think I'm a good guy. I think I think I'm decent. I know it takes time to see that. And so like if I meet a beautiful woman and on jump, she's like, man, I care about you, da da da, or let me like have sex. I'm like, whoa, what? Like, is this a? I know I'm not that special.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I see what you're
so
saying
I'm questioning it because I'm like, is this what you do with everybody?
Right. Why me?
Or why me? Because I know what I bring to the table, but I know I haven't showed it to you, all of it yet. And so at this juncture, why do you think? Until you say like if everything worked out well, I'd be like, what?
Yeah, I didn't do anything to deserve.
Yeah, I think guys are like that sometimes when it seems too easy.
Yeah,
but I don't know if women are. And I'm like, I'm not that special.
Yeah.
To think that I'm a great guy, I don't have low self-esteem, but I recognize like if you met me and it's been a month, I don't know why you would want to be so quick to. And some people are different in terms of their pace and how they move, but
and some women may be at that point where even if it's not the right one, it's the next one. And I said this a lot to women, like I guarantee most women, the next guy that asks to propose to them. Or the next guy that proposes to them, she'll likely say yes.
Oh, yeah.
Even if he's not the right one.
Potentially, I don't know. But yeah.
High probability. Yeah. Especially when you start reaching that point where society says you should have XYZ.
I agree with you. If you've done enough together and things are going well enough, and I'm not saying, and I say well enough because I'm not saying it's great, right? But well enough where he is at a point where he is proposing to you. Yeah. He probably thought you were going to say yes, and you probably will say yes.
Yeah, you can read the room in that regard too.
No, it makes
like sense. Mine would have been so embarrassing if mine would have said no.
As most.
My shit was.
Did you say before she moved or after she moved?
No, it was before. I proposed during Caravana.
So that was the impetus for her moving.
Correct.
I got it.
Yeah.
And so I try to be woke. And so I recognize, like, America, when we talk about America, I recognize it's based in, like, white privilege. I recognize it's based in, like, a patriarchal system.
Yeah.
And so I take that same recognition when I think about the global world and think, like, well, he's living in the U.S., she's in Canada. Obviously, she would want to come to the U.S. Mm-hmm. That's a very much U.S.-centric perspective, Absolutely. Right? How was that conversation? Because you equally could have, I guess, moved to Canada.
No, I could not.
I think Americans would say, like, no, but
as well. So not just Canada, we can't just blanket the whole country. Specifically, Toronto is extremely expensive.
Okay, so it was more it's more for that reason than
Canada. And I had already been in my career 10 years.
Has she not?
She not as long as me.
How much older are you? Older?
I'm only a year and a half, 2 years older than her.
So she wasn't in her career as fully.
Not as fully.
Got it.
Right? So it made sense. I had already had a house here. There was some stability already here. I would have to sell, move, find a new career. But it was less about... So I guess my question is more around if it wasn't like you had roots. Yeah.
You just like... I still think it would have been like less of a like, oh, I'm moving to Canada than someone moving... I think we always think that people want to move to the United States.
Well, not just that. You usually have the woman that moves to the man.
True.
Most times.
True. The last guy, the one guy in the season, he moved.
Yeah.
He moved not to the different. He was the one that was moving for his wife in her career.
Okay.
Versus typically, I agree, it's the woman moving for the man in his. Right. And so, but I pushed it because
I wouldn't have been against it.
That's what I'm saying. I pushed it to see like if y'all were kind of equal in terms of this, you're both renting, you both early stages. What kind of conversation would that have been? Would you have been willing to?
I'd have been definitely done it because I've traveled extensively throughout the world, but I've never lived outside of Houston. Right?
Yeah.
So for me, that would have been a hell of an experience just to say we did it. Yeah. Now whether would we have stayed there, I don't know. Yeah. I wouldn't be against it because I've never been the type to say, "Oh, my family can't come now. I can't go." No. So. And
so let's say
now, I follow opportunity, not location. So if the right company presents a opportunity overseas, I'm out.
I'm like that. Right now I'm trying to get back to Dallas, so I'm a location guy. However, I won't let my desire trump
opportunity.
And a really good opportunity.
A really good opportunity.
You got to be a hell of an opportunity, but I wouldn't
we'll pay you $100,000 more. No, I want to stay in Austin.
Yeah,
like,
you know what?
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, I'm realistic.
You could literally take a helicopter every weekend back and forth.
Yeah, I'm realistic, brother. But in your situation, you're more established in your career and where you are in life, things you have. It seemed like she was accommodating, right? Of coming. What if she wasn't? How would that have played out in like your decision to propose?
It would have delayed it. Would have delayed it.
You think I would have got past it eventually, or it would just?
If she was like, "I'm not coming to Houston,"
No, I'm not. But maybe in that moment she wasn't as receptive.
Yeah, like maybe she was equally established in her.
Even if she wasn't,
okay,
she's just a preference. I'm from Canada.
I'm not leaving.
And the reason Canada is a little bit hard because similar cultures. But let's say she was in Italy or South Africa, so it's a different culture, right? Like that's a bigger jump. Say I'm leaving this culture to go yours.
That's huge.
Like how would that have impacted how you thought about proposing? Because you're a guy that said, "I've met my wife. I know this is my person."
Yeah.
And so this is a barrier. How would you have?
It probably wouldn't have got to proposal status then.
Probably wouldn't have. You said.
Only because if someone's not. I mean, how do you move to the next phase if y'all aren't living in the same place?
I don't know, but I don't know. I guess my question is around: is there a scenario where you would have said, "It's just a house, it's just a job, she's worth it," or would it have been like, "No,
I got to go up there with something." Like,
so you wouldn't have just dropped everything. You know, this is your wife. You know, this is my person.
That's great.
But there's not a scenario that you could think about where you like, I could rent my house or sell it, and I can figure out my career because
I would have to have that figured out prior to moving.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't have gone up there. Hey, I sold my house.
You wouldn't just like, but as vulnerable.
No. I mean, there's like you don't work your ass off for as long as we have to build what you have. To just roll the dice on an opportunity. You really want to have some strategy in there, even if it's minimal. Or
So let's say she was in a situation where she didn't want to move. It's been a point of contention for a bit. You got a house, a really good career, and you're seeing like she's not. You know, you can read like she's not budging on this. I'd imagine you'd start trying to look for opportunities there,
or not continue the relationship.
Would that have been a possibility?
Yeah, absolutely.
Even though you know this is my, you think I can find another person that'd be my person?
Yeah, absolutely. Because when you start beating a dead horse, you're forcing it.
True, but it's just a job at the end of the day. And I'm pushing you because I want people to understand how we think about it.
Yeah,
it's the job and the career, and it's not just a job. What you've done to build up to that point.
And I'm speaking exclusively at that time.
Yeah, at the time.
Right, at that time.
But I want you to speak at that time and what you know now. Like, what you, reflecting back on it. Like,
I mean, in any case, I always tell people, like, don't quit your day job just because you want to go, paint and be an artist. Like, figure out the art world first where you want to go. So, for me, I would have figured out.
That's what I'm asking you. Would you have said, okay, I see she's not, this is a big stick, this is a bigger, someone said, a bigger rock for her.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And, the house thing could be navigated. I can rent it. I can sell it. That part, I know solutions for that. Mm-hmm. The job thing, I put a lot of sweat equity in this. It means something to me.
Yeah.
I'm not just gonna quit my job to go there. Right. I recognize that, but could have gotten to a point where you've been like, well,
let me find something equivalent.
Let me find something that is in the same industry or whatever that would be a good job there.
Yeah,
would you leverage that pathway before you saying
that could have been a possibility? Okay.
Yeah. For some, they might have. They're like, nah, I really care about this career, and I can't. Or my career is like, let's say you work in financial services and you got investment banking, in New York. That might be a bigger thing for you to be able to leave and try to find someone that's on par with that somewhere else.
Right.
But other jobs might have a little bit more flexibility. So,
absolutely.
I was just trying to figure out where this, because I think someone listened to me like, you found love.
Yeah.
You wouldn't like these things. You can get more work. You can get. That's for some people, it's not that simple.
It's not that simple. Like, there's no switch that, you're in love, boom, everything else opens up. Yay. No, it's not that simple. So there's other factors. I mean, again, we discussed why men are willing to move into the proposal marriage stage. A lot of it has to do with their financial stability and things that they built that have become realized, right? So to give that up, you're giving up a piece of yourself that makes you who you are as a man for many of us.
Gotcha.
And so to go somewhere and guess on maybe, possibly having that, it's a little bit uneasy.
I feel that, but let me get a word in from my sponsor. If times are tough right now, then I know how important saving money can be. Sharper Services, an ACN independent business owner, works with its clients to provide great rates on all home-related bills like electricity, internet, and cable. Check out www.sharperservices.com. That's Sharper Services with an S, to get a free quote and start the process to save money now. He provides this free of charge, it's convenient, and he makes things hassle-free. Tell him the podcast sent you, and look for more details in the episode description. Let's get back to some of the questions we had before. Like, sure. What do you spent the whole alphabet. I see you, man. What do you love about your wife, man?
I love how caring and nurturing she is. I love how we can both crack on each other, personality-wise, humor-wise. I'm a very sarcastic person.
Yeah, same here.
So if I throw something over on your side of the fence, I expect something back.
Yeah,
jab for jab. Little jab for jab. I don't want to throw something over and be like, you hurt my feelings. Why did you? Like, first of all, I was joking with your simple ass, right? You know what I mean?
Why would I intentionally hurt your feelings?
I'm messing with you. So you got to be able to take. You got to be able to give. It's also, we share a lot of commonality around music, around the arts and creativity. Mm-hmm. She had her own YouTube page around natural hair care and products and stuff like that.
Is it had or have?
Had.
Okay. I was say do a plug.
Right. No, she had that. And then it's also like her cultural background. Like, she's Jamaican Canadian. Mm-hmm. So that was attractive to me as well, understanding that although we're both black, right, visually, but there's so many layers beyond that. Yeah. And a lot of times it presents some cultural challenges in the household. Like, for Caribbeans, like, you walk into a house with your shoes on, it's a sign of disrespect. Yeah. Especially in Canada, right? Here, I told her, like, it's kind of optional here.
It probably changed more over time.
Yeah, it's not a thing.
Yeah.
So a lot of those cultural differences you have to learn over time. Yeah. And there's been points where I'm like, look, this probably ain't gonna change.
Yeah.
So you got to be okay with that.
Yeah.
And there's some things that I understand about her culture that she's not changing.
Yeah. You got to make it work.
You got to make it work.
Yeah.
For sure.
What was the moment, right? The moment. I know you said, like, you saw her in Vegas, and I think I met my wife, right?
Yeah.
But I think that's different from saying, like, I think I love this woman.
Yeah.
What was, like, the moment that you're like, I think I love this woman?
It was around that 3-month mark. Like, you know how, like, there's memes about it on Instagram where you're, like, walking around and laying in weird positions, talking to somebody, and you know.
Yeah.
For me, there was some hesitation because, like, I understand the feeling's real. I know it's valid. But what if she doesn't say it back?
Yeah.
Then I'm super naked, vulnerable, man.
Butt ass.
And you can't recover from that. Yeah. It's tough.
Leverage lost.
All of it's gone.
Leverage lost.
So, at that 3-4 month mark, I did say it, and it was reciprocated back. So I was like, okay, cool, yeah. Bad.
It's almost like we both can, like,
let your guard down.
Let your guard down. That we at the same level.
Yeah.
Like, no one has more or less at this moment.
Yeah, we both good.
Yeah,
we both good.
I would say, how has, like, the role of intimacy played in your relationship? Whether it's, like, emotionally, physical, like, how has that played, and how important do you think it is?
No, it's very high, right? Anything that people get divorced over is a big deal before you get divorced.
Yeah.
So top reasons for
money, happiness, not happiness, but, like, somebody probably being very, like, detrimental, like abuse, right? Not like that person fulfills you, makes you happy. Right. Abuse, and the third one could probably be a mix of some other stuff.
Infidelity, sex, intimacy, whatever. Right. So yeah, intimacy is huge, and again, that goes around communication as well. Mm-hmm. Like, if you want sex this many times, or you don't make it as rigid, you just express your sexual prowess to the person. So communicating around that is huge. And then, okay, I'll open it, son. And then you have different levels of intimacy. Yeah. Like, sometimes it's public, sometimes it's a little more private. Experimentation with intimacy. Mm-hmm. The love.
What do you mean by that?
So there's certain things that you want to do being intimate with your partner, and you want to experiment with some things. Maybe she does too, but you haven't communicated that.
Is that more like the physical sense, or are there some other aspects? My mind goes straight to, like, the physical sense.
Oh, for men, it's straight physical.
Okay, I didn't know there's some outside on the emotional.
And then sometimes for a woman, it may be that the way you feel about it physically, she may be thinking about it from an emotional standpoint. Yeah. Like, you don't kiss me enough, you know what I mean? Like,
or you haven't done some stuff on the emotional stance to, like,
to warrant the physical.
Yeah, to allow her to be willing to, like, take some leaps on the physical
Absolutely.
side.
Yeah, that's huge.
No, that's real.
Absolutely.
When you think about vulnerability, like how, generally speaking for you, are you a person that considers yourself to be vulnerable generally with people, or is that something you've grown to work and be better at?
I think it depends on the category the person's in.
Yeah, like relationships, like
relationship wise, I feel myself to be pretty emotionally intelligent, and I can communicate how I'm feeling past the normal logical male perspective and give more of the emotional side. And kind of state that in a very direct way. Like, look, when you do this, I don't think you appreciate how it makes me feel. I don't like when you do that. So I'm more direct with it now. Like, I don't have time to.
And you've always been like a pretty direct person.
Absolutely.
In my experience with you.
Yeah.
Just not only with your wife, I'm imagining like she receives it well because y'all are still together.
Sure.
But in just your like interactions of dating, you know, how much of that is like setting that expectation and starting that from jump, or dealing with people that are maybe sensitive and not receiving that with like what it is, not how I'm saying it. Like, how do you navigate that? 'Cause I think it's important, but I don't know everybody receives it the same way.
Yeah, and if you know, you can read the room, somebody's temperament. If they're not a person that you know can handle that kind of direct communication, that may not be the person for you, and that's okay. But you got to get with somebody who can communicate with your love language, the way you vibe, and the way you communicate, whatever degree of harshness that may be.
Yeah. So
it becomes tough to try to spare someone's feelings every time you talk because you don't know how they're going to react to it.
That's tough, man. Just in general, I've been in situations where it got to the point where I was so kind of like on guard for how that person was going to react to stuff, or what I did. And it might not even be to them. That's like, yo, I don't even know what I would want to do.
Yeah, because I'm so worried about what you're gonna think
which
about
one's
it.
Gonna give the less reaction.
Absolutely.
It's like, I don't even know what I would want to do in that situation.
Yeah, that's not a fun space to be in.
It wasn't. When you think about you mentioned love languages. What are your top 2 love languages?
For me, mine was words of affirmation and gift giving.
For you, that's what you want. That's what you like.
Yeah.
Okay. And what is it for your wife?
My wife was the physical touch and the words of affirmation.
Interesting. I'm finding more guys with words of affirmation than I expected.
Yeah.
And I would have lost money if I made a bet on that.
Yeah.
In the sense of it. I'm not, maybe just I grew up in that Nigerian culture.
Yeah. A lot of it has to do with when you start uncovering why your love language is what it is, you can definitely trace it back.
I think if you think about your childhood, you can trace a lot of it back to things that you either don't want any more of,
right? Your nature,
or things that you really appreciate because you had it in a positive way, or you didn't have it. It's just crazy how, like, if you really sit and think about your childhood and think about why you have certain preferences, a lot of it's predicated off of that.
Absolutely.
And so navigating that, like, you know, gifts. So take a step back. So are your words of affirmation the same? Because I know, like, there are people that have words of affirmation, but they don't mean the same thing to people.
More like certain trigger words, or just
like I'll give an example of a situation where I was in words. I wouldn't say my love language is words of affirmation, but words mattered to me, right?
Oh yeah,
I knew that words of affirmation was a love language of someone I was with.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say that was my love language, but words still mattered to me. Mm-hmm. She was a volume person. She wanted to hear it often. You know, be told these things, affirmed in these ways.
Yeah,
I'm a person that, like, I don't do it often because I wanted to serve. I want to have some level of magnitude.
Absolutely, yeah, I'm the same way.
And so that's why I'm like. So even though you may value words, if it's not the same, you still can miss each other.
Yeah, and if it's not authentic, like, I don't need to. Oh, babe, you played the light bill. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You really.
Some people need that though, and it's words, right?
Yeah, mine are more big ticket items.
And so with your wife, where is she on that? Because you could be a big ticket item person, so you give it in big ticket ways.
Yeah,
she's like, the little things matter, and you're not giving it, so she still doesn't feel the love.
Yeah, I think she requires a bit more frequency than I do, which is okay.
Yeah,
because you got to understand and appreciate those differences.
Yeah,
and then I think what happens sometimes your love languages may change. You got to tweak them.
Yeah,
right, and communicate that as best as you can.
Yeah.
So
has y'all's changed over time, like with being parents as well, or?
I don't know yet. He's still young.
Yeah.
You know, he's at that age where he's kind of self-managing right now, but we're having a second child.
Yeah.
So I got to be mindful even more so of how she's managing, you know, being a mother of 2 now, what that means. So,
and does that play into? We don't have to go super deep into it unless you want to. It just made me think about roles and responsibilities.
Yeah.
You said it in a way that I received it like she's kind of probably, not that you're not around and doing stuff, but she's kind of leading the charge in terms of.
And I think we're quite balanced.
Okay.
And so right now he's here with me, right? We're having a daddy Sunday, call it. And he's a daddy's boy more than a mama's boy. For sure. So, and I work from home. So a lot of things that get done around the house. One thing I don't do, I hate doing dishes.
Yeah.
I just don't do them.
Never, don't even load them in the dishwasher?
I don't even touch them motherfuckers. I don't like doing dishes.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I'm not doing them.
So you don't like you?
I don't do them.
You use a cup.
Right.
Did you cook?
Yeah, I know how to cook. Yeah.
So let's say you made dinner.
Yeah.
And the dishes just sitting there.
I begrudgingly do dishes.
Okay. How did you work that out?
Yeah. But here's the thing: I would love folding clothes.
Yeah,
like with precision. Like if you see
I'm anal.
Bro, if you see my towel closet, it looks like
you get that hat, that
I'm trifold.
Yeah, trifold.
Trifold game is crazy.
And then my shirts are like at the retail
but like,
shops.
let my towels get like to where they don't trifold, right?
Yeah, I'm redoing
They're done. You're dead to me, right? But so I'll do everything else.
Yeah,
I love making a nice crisp bed.
Yeah.
Like
they putting the duvet over it.
Yeah, that's my one thing.
Yeah. And so how did she respond to that? 'Cause I'm sure that was an adjustment.
Bro, it still is.
When you,
what do you mean?
So how do you? Because someone would say, hey, when you find your person, and you guys are doing it. These are like little things. These are like little things that you just work to figure out. How do you work to navigate that? Because you I don't touch them.
But just stick to your guns, bro.
Like that's a battle you're just gonna
mess around, keep doing them just like 2-3 nights a week, and then you don't do them all of a sudden. It's like, oh, you don't do shit around here.
So you just I just don't do them,
bro. Because I know that if I start,
so you just hear it from her.
Yeah, you got to eat them.
And you're like, we just gonna.
I looked at her and I said, look, babe, I'm not doing them.
And what does she do?
She'll say some stuff, but I don't hear it because why? I'm not doing them.
And then she'll wash them.
Yeah. But look, when it's time to do laundry, when it's time to,
I guess there might be things she don't.
It's it's a balancing thing, man.
She's like, I'm just not. That would to be honest.
This is the thing. She doesn't turn off lights, bro. She'll go in the house, just la la la, switch. Of course.
And she don't turn off the lights,
bro. I know because electricity is expensive as shit down there, right? Yeah. So bro. It was one time I walked in the house and literally every light in the house was on.
Yeah.
I'm like, you can't possibly need all this. Where does that come from? My dad, he did the same thing. Yeah. Turn these goddamn lights off, son. My dad is. You work for the light company? Like, Dad, I don't work for the light company, right? But
I know that's not how some people are with like cabinets. They leave cabinets open.
Yeah.
We have to have
so for her, I know she's never going to turn the lights off. Does that mean I'm going to tell her? I'm never going to mention it again? No. And then if we want to get petty, like if she'll get on me for something, I'll just be like, hey, you left the light on. You want me to do it real quick while I'm up, or you gonna get off the couch and go back and do it?
But someone listening to this would be like, getting off the couch to go flip the light off is different than washing some dishes. It's consistently.
To you, it is. Yeah,
I feel you. You can't tell someone how someone makes you feel. Right?
To me, if I'm on the couch and you ask me to go do dishes and you're standing in front of them,
you could have done it while you was in the kitchen.
I could have, and you could have also turned the lights off. Here we are.
No, I feel you because I use the same analogy with sex.
Okay.
I think
how so.
When typically, these are the law averages.
Yep.
When women are thinking about things that they want a guy to do.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, why won't he do it? Let's open the car door.
5.
Or be exclusive. Mm-hmm. Or whatever it is, right? Something you may want a guy to do. They think is not that difficult to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, just because you want the guy to do it doesn't mean that is the switch that he's gonna go do it or he's ready to do it.
Right.
In the same way, if I'm dating a woman and it's a month in and you know what, hey baby, I'm ready to have sex. She don't look at me like, and just because you are ready doesn't mean that like all of a sudden I'm gonna be ready. And I think that's how we have to look at everything. And she's like, well, sex is different. To you, it is. Because someone else may not be that big of a deal.
Exactly.
And for him, that other thing.
I did it on the letters.
Good job. You did the letters. Good job.
Yeah, you got to engage these children. You know, and just like to the guy, that thing that he wants, sex. You know that thing that he wants might be important. maybe a big deal. Like, it should be simple.
Yeah.
And it's a bigger deal to him than the sex might be.
Yeah.
But we have to weigh it with the same kind of like,
Yeah.
I guess, mindset that we would with sex, because when we talk about sex, we kind of know it. Like, yeah, I get why she said that.
Yeah.
But if it's like something else, like, well, it's simple. Like you said, the lights, it's simple.
It's simple.
But like, to you, it might not be. It's like,
Yeah.
no, it's annoying that I'm comfortable and I got to get, and we losing money by the second. So it hits you differently.
Yeah.
In the same way that the dishes might hit her.
Yeah.
It's not.
And that's why you really have to, communicate that in a marriage. It's like the way you react and the way that it shows up on your radar. First of all, it may not ever be on my radar. That's okay. And the way you react to it being on your radar, I'm not supposed to react the same way because it doesn't hold the same level of value.
Yeah.
Right. So, that's why I mentioned earlier, things that you need to be able to do on your own that I clap for from a distance because you value them differently than I do. Like, I'm a big music head. You know that, right?
Yeah.
I can't tell my wife or expect her to get excited about going to Guitar Center. I know she don't give a damn.
But you would probably appreciate she came, but like, if her like.
I would appreciate her not coming because I know she doesn't care.
Really?
So if I see her acting or faking like she cares, I'm gonna be like,
no, well, I meant like,
if she all of a sudden was like, hey, let's go to Guitar Center.
No, I'm just saying, like, instead of like asking a whole bunch of questions and stuff, but just like being willing to like go, like she's just there with you.
Yeah.
Versus like not going. Would that mean something to you? Like if she,
it would my spidey senses was my spidey senses
like
was
like someone like don't care about sports, but they want to go watch a game with you. Like they don't care who wins or loses, but they just doing the activity with you. Does that mean something?
I mean, it's about their approach.
Yeah.
Like if they do it out of okay, fine, I'll do it, and they're faking it. I'd rather you not fake it.
Don't kill the vibe.
You don't kill the vibe. Let me have this because this is my thing. Yeah. It's not your thing. Cool. Like
you need to
in the way she is about natural hair products. Yeah. I don't give a damn, really. Yeah. They're dope, Use some on my beard, but I don't expect me to,
I was in the thing, and it's funny you say, and I would love your advice on how to like navigate it.
Sure.
Maybe I wasn't tripping. I could have been.
Yeah.
She was big into like fashion. Like, I am a person like I don't want it to look nice, but it's more a function of how much energy I'm going to put into it.
Fair.
And I just don't put that much energy into it.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I don't have an eye for nice things. But she would like want to try on stuff and then be like, and that's what her and her family used to do, is all girls. And so she's like, hey, look at me. What do you think about this? And I had to like learn, me saying it's all right or it's fine wasn't enough. I need to engage a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I also have my limits.
Yeah.
And so it gets to points where like I done seen about 10 outfits.
Yeah, they all starting to blur.
Even if they don't blur, I don't care that much to give you more. About
law of diminishing returns.
Yeah. And so
like after outfit number 3,
I'm like, you don't feel the way you feel about him either way. Outside of my opinion.
Same thing. Like if I tell my wife, "Hey, babe, this new Yamaha keyboard came out," and
so she would get mad when I get to my point. Like, yo, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
Like, she would take it as like a insult.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't care about this, and you keep bringing it. That's like me going to you and talking to you about Zeke Elliott's stats. Yeah. I know you don't care, so I don't bring it up to you.
Yeah. Find someone who does.
Because I know you don't.
And this is key. Let me bring this up. This is key. This is why having friends in your corner as a male and a female is so vital.
You mean a man having male and female friends?
Absolutely. Okay. Like having your boys that you can run.
Well, I mean, do you? I'll let you get to it, but do you mean like as a man having your boys and your homegirls, or like as your man having your boys and as a woman having your girls?
So in the case of your example,
the
female you're talking about, how she had fashion is high priority. She should have ran those fashion questions through some of her friends that like fashion.
Yeah, I was just trying to delineate where you're supporting a person having male and female friends.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. Okay. Yeah, I'm fine with that. But for me, I have a
world for that.
I have a world for that, and I have some filters I can run through. Some guys that are into music, I can run and say, "Bro, meet me up at Guitar Center," and we lose track of time now. Yeah. As I expect her to have friends that she.
No, it was funny. She had those friends, but I think that was her way of connectivity. Right?
Okay.
And so I think I recognized that to be like, I can't engage in the way that I want to engage. Yeah. So I have to do more than I'm used to.
Right. And I'm not saying
it failed where it was like there's a degree. Like I have
And I'm not saying don't ever talk to me about fashion, and I won't ever talk to you about music. But understand the depth at which we can go is very limited.
Yeah, I think in the same way, what I wanted her to realize is what I realized. She don't care about sports, so I shouldn't engage or expect her to like engage that in a certain way or for a long period of time. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't getting that realization back, so then it created conflict because I'm like, I went out of my way as much as I could. You know?
I agree.
And so how do you navigate, like, whether it's that or other things in your marriage to, you know, make sure that it's growing, you're challenging yourself to do more than you're comfortable, but also being authentic to yourself.
Yeah, it's that balancing act, man. That compression, decompression. Like right now, I'm here with my son. Where's my wife? I don't know. Right?
Yeah.
She's doing her. She hit me earlier. Like, hey, what are y'all up to? Oh, we're grabbing a bite to eat. Has she called me since we've been here? No. Have I called her? No.
Yeah.
Whatever she's doing, like yesterday, we're showing the house, so we had the 4-hour window. So she went out to Bath and Body Works, got some Lush stuff from Lush. Go do that.
Yeah.
She didn't send me a screenshot. What do you think about this Lush bar?
I hate that.
I don't give a shit.
I
honestly don't
afford it.
I can't even put that on my radar. I don't know enough to.
I can't stand that.
It's letter 8.
It's letter 8. It's a number 8 or letter 8? Number 8. There you go.
No, I can't stand this. I don't.
Yes.
care.
Yeah. I go finish it. Go finish it. You're doing a good job, all by yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but I hate that. Like I don't really care that much.
I don't.
About these things. Like, handle it.
Go do it.
Take it.
It's all good. So to answer your question, you navigate that by understanding what that person values. What were they doing before y'all even met? Right? Expect them to continue that. Respect their. Yeah, respect that going through the relationship, through the marriage, and find ways to continue to nurture that for them. Like if I'm making some music, she'll peek your head and be like, man, that sounds dope. I'm like, oh shit, okay.
Playing it later.
Yeah, right? So she's doing something she likes. I'm like, that's dope. I'm glad you did that. So you got to clap for them, you know, when they're doing their thing, and not expect them to always clap for you the same way.
I don't care what anybody says, man. I'm going to clap for you today. I really appreciate your time, bro. All the knowledge, vulnerability, authenticity, and rawness that you're sharing about your perspective and your relationship. I want to thank the listeners for supporting the podcast and tuning in every week. It's just been great to see the levels of support. And so we got to keep this movement going. Make sure you tell a friend, spread the word each week. Make sure that every time you hear it, you're sharing it with another friend. Make sure you're following us on Instagram at ThinkLoveWife and subscribe to your platform of preference. Be sure to leave a written review if you're on Apple Podcasts. Next time, I'll spend some time talking about the importance of making time and space for yourself, especially in a relationship. We'll talk about the intentionality that's required to keeping the spark alive in a marriage. And we'll talk about what we believe people are truly looking for in their forever partners. So keep listening, keep supporting. We'll be out with another episode next week. And until next time, you know what it is. Hope the conversation keeps going.